Patch 11.2.7 is the prologue for Midnight, entitled The Visions of a Shadowed Sun. It finds us palling around with Eretor, son of Valeria and Turalian, to seek out the Windrunner sisters to defend Silvermoon for the events to come in the next expansion. But in the course of that little adventure, Blizzard smacks us with one of the biggest revelations that could shake the very foundations of this game's lore. That is not an exaggeration, it is not hyperbole. Blizzard very well may be retconning the entirety of Shadowlands. Or, this was the plan all along. Let's go over what is revealed and why it could be so important, not just for the story being told, but for overall excitement in the cosmos of Warcraft. Hello, everybody. It's your boy Jmulls, and it's time to Mawwalk.
Is a prison.
During the story, we go to the Maw to ask Sylvanas for help. She declines because she's still tracking down lost souls in the Maw for her penance. But two moments happen here that really are the highlights for today's video. First off, Eretor himself comments on the Maw, saying that it isn't as unknowable or alien as he would have thought something like the Maw should be, noting particularly the structures of the Maw, where Sylvanas chimes in, saying that they're all too familiar. Sylvanas has, to quote, seen past the veil of true death. There's more to the Shadowlands than it seems. And later on, Sylvanas even pulls us aside to basically just drop lore bombs. She knows death more than most, and she suspects, or maybe it would be closer to, she can just feel something is off with not just the Maw, but all of the Shadowlands. She's been questioning all of it ever since we dealt with Nipples Supreme. The Shadowlands, the way it works, the way it's structured, it's just too convenient and too ordered. Sylvanas wants answers. She who ran from death for her entire, well, undead life, now seeks answers once again to the true meaning of death. Granted, she must still do her penance, but she tells us that she can't stop digging, because if she does, all the pain she caused, all the sins that are hers, would be for nothing. She can't change the past, but all her choices led her here. And now she wants to keep scratching away at the Shadowlands because something isn't right with it. She tells us to go back to Azeroth, and at some point down the line, to quote, "Our paths will cross again." What Blizzard are doing here is laying the groundwork for a storyline that I think we will revisit either in the patches of Midnight or in the expansion after Midnight, The Last Titan. The World Souls Saga's story is planned out. Blizzard practically brag about the foreshadowing that they have done up to this point. In interviews, there is structure and a vision for where this story is going. And this scene, to me, didn't just fall out of the freaking sky. It was a carefully planted scene meant to ask a question and plant a seed for a story that will blossom with time. And in doing so, it potentially upends one of the biggest thorns in the side of Warcraft's lore, Shadowlands.
Is a prison.
Shadowlands was a pivotal expansion for World of Warcraft. It lost many players over the course of its lifespan because of the choices it made both in terms of gameplay and also story. Many were burned by how Shadowlands forcefully put itself squarely behind many of the most well-beloved and cherished storylines in Warcraft's history, all the while its central antagonist, the Jailer, was a giant nothing sandwich who was just kind of there. He was bland, uninteresting, not compelling, and all of a sudden we found ourselves in a story where he was one of the most important characters. And they retroactively put that character behind many of those well-beloved and cherished storylines. The sins of Shadowlands run deep, especially for the story. But to me, there were three big crippling flaws story-wise. Number one, removing the mystery from Warcraft's death. With Shadowlands, we knew what happened after someone died, so all the various mythologies and cultures in Warcraft felt way less important and mysterious because we now had the answers to what lies after death. Number two, the eradication of Sylvanas Windrunner as a character, not just in Shadowlands, but ever since Legion as they were building up to the story of Shadowlands. They turned a fan-favorite character and one of WoW's best characters into just another stereotypical villain, while trying to turn her entire story in WoW up to that point in time into just an anime betrayal, despite the fact it was clearly never planned out that far. And personally, they'll never get me to believe that the Jailer was behind her ever since Wrath of the Lich King, and that it was planned out to be so since then. And Number 3, what they did to the story of Arthas, the Helm of Domination, and the entire Lich King side of the lore. What this new story with Sylvanas could do is, for me at least, remedy 2 of those 3 flaws with Shadowlands, salvaging Sylvanas as a character while reintroducing mystery into the afterlife of Warcraft.
Is a prison.
Both Eretor and Sylvanas mention that the structures of the Shadowlands are far too familiar and not as alien and unknowable as they should be, since it's from a completely different cosmological realm that they are accustomed to. Sylvanas points out how ordered and convenient the Shadowlands are, which are not descriptions that she clearly believes should be attributed in such a way to what she knows of true death. This really makes it seem as if the Shadowlands was constructed by someone or something as an apparatus, and that we, story-wise, were led to believe that's just how it's supposed to be. I would need to think on it more, but I think that they kind of accidentally spoiled what is going on with the words that they used in their intent to have good foreshadowing. Sylvanas emphasizes that the Shadowlands are too ordered.
I know the truth of death better than most. This, it is too convenient, too ordered.
And who on the cosmological chart are aligned with order? The Titans. Yeah, I do think it's kind of that simple. I mean, in The Last Titan, not only is Titan in the name, indicating that the Titans will be a prominent element of the story there, also Chris Metzen said so back at BlizzCon, while also going back to Northrend, particularly Ulduar, a Titan facility. I feel like they are basically implying that the Shadowlands as we know them were a construct of the Titans, put in place to interrupt the cycle of true death. For some reason that will probably be revealed in time. Maybe the Titans are just really controlling, or they wanted to harness the power of death somehow for their own machinations. But I think that's going to be the big reveal. Also, don't forget, Icecrown's really important to the story of Shadowlands, especially with what the jailer wanted to do in the Sepulchre of the first ones. Icecrown Citadel's right there, like one zone over from Ulduar. Definitely something that could be explored more. It'll depend on how they execute on this, absolutely, but personally, I'm really dang glad that they're doing something with this. I didn't like Shadowlands. It's for the reasons that we talked about before, but recontextualizing everything as a Titan plot makes it all way more interesting, because now it no longer feels like over-explaining the cosmos and removing the mystery. In fact, we're bringing that mystery back and building up the Titans as a greater entity and possibly an object of our animosity. I mean, think of it. Because of them, we had to play Shadowlands. Sylvanas burning that tree down is nothing compared to that atrocity. I don't know about you guys, but I want revenge.
Is a prison.
Look, WoW is no stranger to retcons. Most of the time, I don't like them either. They muddy the water, they make the plot hard to follow, and can sometimes disrupt or jeopardize stories we really care about and love to fit in with whatever they came up with last week over coffee. I get that, I understand that, and I largely agree. However, Shadowlands really sucked, and it was going to be a permanent thorn in the side of this game's story going forward if they didn't try to do something with it. They could have just ignored it, absolutely, but then again, the feel of Warcraft would still largely be disrupted since we knew what came after death. We lost that entire section of the cosmos to bad storytelling and over-explained elements. The mystery was gone. The direction that this is going in, at least, addresses that, and in my eyes, can even potentially remedy it. They could still mess it up, absolutely, I mean, never say never, but I am glad they're at least trying to do something with it. In my eyes, when a story is so bad, and so egregiously bad at that, like Shadowlands was, I don't mind doing something to recontextualize it enough, at least, to where it's no longer as bad as it was before. I am not a fan of leaving the thorn be and allowing the wound to fester over time. I'm an advocate of removing the thorn and treating the wound properly. The scar may remain, but with time and proper treatment, it can potentially fade. Now, it's entirely possible that this was the plot for Shadowlands all along. Look, I know it's doubtful, I get that, but it is possible. It's doubtful because the lead writer or lead narrative director, whatever his title was, for Shadowlands is no longer at Blizzard. And I'll agree that I am skeptical that this was all planned all along, but it is still entirely possible that this was the plan the entire time. So I'm honestly not even sure if it's fair to call this a retcon. If you go back and rewatch a lot of the cutscenes from Shadowlands like I did, thanks Ethelarius by the way for that one, really appreciate it. Also, by the way, pray for my mental state after having to endure Shadowlands lore all over again. Ugh! There were kind of hints that something wasn't right, or there was some grander reveal still to come. Sylvanas was never killed, merely put on ice by going down to have a gotta catch 'em all journey in the maw with Tyranda's Hoot Hoot. The machine the jail was trying to use in the Sepulchre of the First Ones connected to another machine back in Icecrown, and it really looked Titan influenced. And heck, there's a lot of elements in Shadowlands that just kinda look Titan. Not identically or anything, just if they did reveal the Titans were behind it all, I don't think too many people would go, oh yeah, that came out of nowhere. I can kinda see it. One of the main reasons Sylvanas joined up with the jailer was because she thought the way the Shadowlands worked was simply unfair. When you die, you're just judged and thrown into where someone else deems you acceptable. It was a system that she fundamentally disagreed with and believed needed upending. And if that system was revealed to not be natural, but the construction of the Titans for whatever reason that probably benefits the Titans more than anyone, let's be fair here, it would make some amount of sense and tie back into those initial feelings Sylvanas had. I think it would be a neat way to recontextualize all of Shadowlands, to make it also feel somewhat interesting while also re-injecting that air of mystery a cosmos like Warcraft should have, all the while building up a faction like the Titans and possibly salvaging a fan-favorite character like Sylvanas so she isn't just a turbo villain of the week, who also got a part of her soul back so she's kinda different now. Whether or not this was the plan all along or some changes were made along the way, I think this current direction is one that I'm fully open to exploring and seeing where it takes us. And even if it ends up being a retcon, it's one I'm glad they're making, because the stuff they are changing, it was poison in my eyes, and would always sour the story moving forward if left to its own.
Is a prison.
But here's where you come in. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, your opinions on this new story direction. Are you excited to see what happens with Sylvanas and the Shadowlands at large? Where do you think this story should go? Or do you think they should just let sleeping dogs lie? I would love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and hear your perspectives. And while you're down there, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. And with patch 11.2.7, they're changing the new player experience and the returning player experience for the game. If you want my full review of the new Exile's Reach, at least the version on PTR, and the returning player experience, you should check out this video right here. Stay safe everybody, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye everybody, until we meet again!